Hey, welcome back to Sports Around the 313, and have we got a show for you today. But listen, first of all, I want to pose a question out there to the audience. Sports Around the 313, what does it have in common with Game of Thrones? Sports Around the 313 and Game of Thrones. Okay, let's see. Well, listen, we did a little poll, and we came up with some people that gave us some answers. So I'm going to throw these out at you, and then we'll see who was right and who was wrong, okay? All right, Game of Thrones versus Sports Around the 313. Compare. No, I'm not the King of the North. Thank you anyway. It would have been a great job. Okay. The Night King. Am I related to the Night King? No, I am not. Although, when I wake up in the morning and look in the mirror sometimes, I think, oh my God, I could be this guy, right? Okay. Let's see. Night Watch, head of the Night Watch. No, I'm not. No, I was never on the Night Watch. North, well, let's see. I could be retiring to the north, up in the mountains where there's a lot of snow. I'll be King of the North of my own place. Okay, that's about it. But let's stop those comparisons and say Sports Around the 313 compared to Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones last season, pretty close to the last episode. Okay, now let's jump over to Sports Around the 313. Last season, last episode, okay, which means we do have some similarities, okay? All right, let's get it. Let's do it right now. Okay, Game of Thrones, goodbye. I love the show. I hope everybody watches it, and if you don't, it's your tough luck. All right, Sports Around the 313. 4 teams, Red Wings, Pistons, Tigers, and who else do we have but the Detroit Lions, of course. I want to start off with the best news in the world for the Detroit 313 crowd, okay? The Detroit Red Wings. Now, about 10 days ago, the Detroit Red Wings announced Steve Yzerman was coming home to be the new vice president and general manager. Wow, what a revelation. I congratulate Chris Ilitch for pulling the trigger on this and getting Stevie Y back with the Red Wings. What a fantastic move. You know, you guys, anybody that's been watching this show or anybody that's been listening to other talk shows or the fans, thousands and thousands of fans have been complaining all the time. Bring Steve Yzerman back from Tampa Bay. They did it. Fantastic. I love it. I mean, unbelievable. It made my day. It made my year. It made my hockey life, okay? Because I've watched Steve Yzerman since he was 18 years old. And I'm telling you, this couldn't be any better for that organization. Unbelievable. So congratulations to the Red Wings. Stevie Y, welcome back into the fold. I'm glad you're back with the family here in the Red Wings. I know Marian Ilitch was excited. She was in tears. I know Mike Ilitch, who's up in heaven somewhere, he's looking down. He's just laughing and feeling good about it because he loves Stevie Y. So we're happy to have him back. Now, the Red Wings have the draft coming up. I believe they're going to draft, I think it's number 6 this year. Steve Yzerman was talking about in his news conference when he was introduced about having patience. Well, you know what? We've had patience. The Red Wing fans have had a lot of patience the last 3 years, and they haven't made the playoffs. But when Steve Yzerman says have patience, I'm going to have patience because I respect him as a human being, as a hockey mind, as an ex-hockey player, and as a successful general manager down in Tampa Bay. So when he says have some patience, I'm going to. But we got a lot of good up-and-coming young players that I think are going to really do well. And he's going to draft well. He's going to sign some free agents. He did a great job in Tampa Bay. I know he's going to do a good job up here with the Detroit Red Wings. And I'm looking forward to it. Okay, maybe we won't make the playoffs next year, which I was hoping we would. But with him in the fold now, I'm going to give him some time. And I know within time, he wants to bring a Stanley Cup back here, and I guarantee he will definitely do that. So congratulations. Welcome back, Steve Yzerman. I'm happier than a pig in you know what. Okay, let's move on. The Detroit Lions. All right, listen, the Detroit Lions just had their draft. Actually, the National Football League had their draft this past week, and they drafted, all the way from round 1 all the way through round 7 or 8, whatever it was. Well, I'm going to talk about the first round draft pick number 8 for the Detroit Lions. You know, a lot of fans were disappointed that they didn't pick a defensive end like Ed Oliver or something like that. They picked T.J. Jockinson out of Iowa. He won the award for best tight end in all of college football. I like his talent. I like his demeanor. I like the way he carries himself. Even though they signed Jesse James, the tight end from Pittsburgh, in the offseason, they really didn't have a very good tight end group, okay, for quite a while, actually. And so I think adding T.J. Hawkinson to the team, I think it's going to be a good move. I said they're going to be able to use two tight end formations. I think this will give Matthew Stafford a better chance in the pocket, because this Hawkinson kid loves to block. He loves to block, and he's a brutal blocker. He's big. I think he's like 6'5", 250, 60 pounds, and he'll probably add more muscle before the season actually starts. So, he's going to be able to be back there and help out Stafford, help blocking out, blitzing linebackers and DBs coming in. So that was a good move. I like their draft. They drafted a number of other players in this draft, defensive side of the ball, offensive side of the ball. Some were not well known, but you know what? Bob Quinn doesn't go for popularity contest. He goes for what's going to fit his system, and with Matt Patricia as the coach and in their system. So I think overall, I think they drafted some good players, and then they have some undrafted free agents that they're going to bring in, some offensive guards, offensive tackles. I think they're going to do well. So I'm real excited about that. So again, off season, training camp has started. Just a side note with the Detroit Lions. Matthew Stafford's wife, Kelly, had just had brain surgery for a brain tumor about a little over a week ago. And she had to go back in the hospital 3 days after because of the pain. I just want to wish Matt Stafford and his family the best. It's going to be a tough road to hoe. I know personally from that standpoint that cancer is no fun, it's no game, and it's a tough thing to deal with. So I wish Matt and his wife and their kids and their family the best. Hope she pulls through. I know she seems like a strong person from what I've read. Hopefully he'll do well, and hopefully he'll be able to come back to the Lions and play as tough as he's always played as well. So, best of luck to them as well. Moving forward, let's talk about the Pistons, the Detroit Pistons. In my episode prior to this one, a lot of the sports writers were picking who's going to win the next championship, and then I took it a step further and said who's going to be the next Detroit sports team, professional team, to actually make it into the playoffs. And of course, the only one I picked out of the four majors was the Detroit Pistons. And yes, they did make the playoffs. They made the playoffs, but they didn't get very far. Okay, they made it through the first round. They made it to the first round. They played the Milwaukee Bucks, who just happened to be the best team in the NBA this year. Unfortunately, they were trying to kind of get to the sixth seed, maybe play Toronto, which I think they would have had a chance of beating. But toward the end of the year, they went into a losing streak. And then Blake Griffin, their all-star forward, injured his knee. He was out for a few games. Didn't play as good he didn't even play in the first couple games of the playoffs. Then he came in, hobbled by a knee, played his ass off. But you know what? Honestly, they really didn't stand a chance, and I didn't give them a chance. I figured they'd go out in 4 straight, and they did go out in 4 straight. But they made the playoffs, and that's the important thing, and I was happy about that. And hopefully next year they'll add some different pieces to this group, and I think they got a shot to they'll be in the playoffs again, and they'll move up and be in a better situation from that standpoint. So congratulations to the Pistons. Let's hope Blake Griffin's knee heals up. Andre Drummond had a fantastic year, even though he was booed in one of the playoff games, which I can't figure out why you'd boo a guy that should be an all-star. To me, he's an all-star. He had a hell of a year. There were games that he held up the Pistons when nobody else was doing well. So let's hope that they come back next year stronger than they left this year and have a good year next year. All right, let's get to the Detroit Tigers. Okay, again, nobody expects a lot from the Tigers. They started out very well, actually, winning some games right up front and beating the Yankees in New York. And right now, they were at 500, then they went to 12-14 because they just lost a couple of games in Chicago to the White Sox, which I didn't think were that good. Then they had a game, I think it was over the weekend, where the Tigers, in a 9-inning game, they set a Major League Baseball record for striking out 20 times. Can you get a grip on that? Let me repeat that. The Tigers as a team struck out 20 times out of a possible 27 at-bats in a 9th-inning game I couldn't believe it. Now, whose fault is that? Well, a lot of people came forward and said, well, the hitting coach, McClendon, it's his fault. No, it's not his fault. These are professionals making big bucks. If you can't get up there and hit a baseball, then what the hell are you doing there? Come on, are you kidding me? Then they blamed, the manager, and that's bullshit. I said, these are professionals. They're not hitting. Miguel Cabrera, come on, buddy. Where the hell are you? You've got one home run this year and maybe, 10, 11, 12 RBIs. My God, come on. There's people around you, younger guys, hitting the crap out of the ball. You're supposed to be one of the best hitters in baseball. And then the Tigers, of course, they're saying, well, we're going to be getting rid of Castellanos and try to trade him off to get rid of his salary, so on and so forth. You're not going to have any bats left. Sidestep over. You got minor league pitchers. This past week, 2 of our minor league pitchers that were drafted very high, one was Casey Mize last year, number 1. They just both pitched no-hitters in the minor leagues. Both on the same team consecutively in the same week, 2 no-hitters. That's kind of unheard of, okay? So you bring along these young pitchers that are fantastic. You got like 3, 4, 5 of them out there that are really going to be good. You bring them along, but if you don't supply them with hitters, they can't do it all. So Al Avila, if you're going to get rid of all your hitters like Castellanos, what are you going to keep? When you bring up these players, these pitchers, you got to have somebody there that can hit the ball. You can't have a bunch of minor leaguers up there or Toledo Mud Hens trying to whack away at the damn ball and strike out 20 times in a goddamn game. I mean, are you kidding me? Come on, what's that all about? You got to have hitters and you got to have freaking pitchers. They got great pitchers coming up. I mean, they are really good, and I'm impressed. But please, Al, for the fans, don't continue to say, well, we're going to keep on losing. Don't worry about it. We're going to just keep on losing because we want to, we're in rebuilding and everything. Bullshit with the rebuilding. Get some damn hitters that can come up with these goddamn pitchers, and so we can start winning some games in the near future. Okay, Chris Ilitch, come on, let's help us out here. You did a good job, Chris Ilitch, the owner of the Wings and Tigers, bringing in Steve Yzerman. Now let's do something big for the Tigers. Maybe next year some big free agents to help out with these young pitchers that are going to be coming up next year or toward the end of this year. Okay? So listen here. I want to tell you, I've enjoyed doing the Sports Around the 313. I'm going to be taking a leave of absence, kind of retiring. This is going to be my last episode. But, I never say never, okay? Because there's always a chance I might pop up again somewhere else and do a quick show or talk about some issues. I'm going to say never say never. So there's a possibility, but technically this is kind of like my last season, my last episode, and I want to thank all the fans, all the people that logged into YouTube to watch me. You didn't have to log in. Nobody, bent your arm back and said, hey, you better watch this guy. You did it because you liked it, you enjoyed it, whether you watched every episode or part of an episode or whatever. I want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It's been a tough year this past year, going through everything I've gone through, but I've enjoyed it. I think there's a lot of promise for the sports teams in the Detroit 313, the college teams as well, U of M football, so on and so forth. I want to thank my daughter for being here every episode with me. She produces it, she edits it, she does a great job of editing. I'm telling you, the talent she has to do this is amazing. I couldn't do it without her. I want to thank her very much for being here to help me out. A couple episodes ago, I had my son here, Double A. He shared a show with me. I appreciate that. It was wonderful to have him on the show and talk sports with him. I'm going to miss talking to my fans about sports, but I'll still pop up. I'm on Twitter. Occasionally, I'll throw a blip up on Twitter, so catch me on Twitter. And I'm going to be following every game, every sports team, and let's hope we have good success down the road in the future. And everybody, I just want to say God bless. Now get the hell out of here.